Coffee Beans Coffee House on Lower Main in Princeton, Hancock's Neighborhood Market on Commerce Street in Katie's delicious homemade goodness, and Perry's Floors and More. And a very good Monday morning to you at 5 minutes now past the hour. And welcome to Tiger Talk this morning, where we have the Caldwell County Retired Teachers Association in studio this morning. I have President Gerry Baker. I have member Joy King and President-elect Ginny Oldham here in the studios. Good morning to each and every one of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How is everybody?
Fine.
Great.
We get through this, and maybe it'll feel like spring coming up later in the week. But we have lots of other serious things to talk about this morning, and that is about the Kentucky retirement pension system and how it affects not only teachers, but how it could affect everybody. So, Gerry, I'll let you begin, and we'll talk about it.
Well, good morning, everyone. We've been living in a very exciting time these past 2 or 3 weeks. If you follow the newspaper or any of the radio or TV news, there's always something on about teachers, some of it positive, some of it negative. We just wanted to talk with you this morning and give our views on this. I'll give a little background information. First of all, I've heard people say, teachers make so much money, it's just pathetic. Let me give you some numbers on this. And I looked at this morning and talked to a young man that's a freshman at Western about a month ago. Couldn't believe what he had said. We asked him, said, how much does it cost per year to go to university? The statistics on Murray's website, and he confirmed this for Western, everything, room, board, tuition, books, $32,000 per year. Now, you can just add that up times 4 years and see what that would be. Now, you can save a little bit by doing that, but basically, a student can come out of college owing at least $100,000. Now, in Kentucky, it's required that you have a BS degree, a Bachelor of Science or a Bachelor of Arts degree. Kentucky also has the law that within 10 years, you need to have a master's degree or something called a fifth year program, which is basically a master's degree. A master's degree will cost at least $20,000, and that's required to have or you'll lose your certification. Now, not required but highly encouraged is to have education beyond a master's degree, which is called a rank 1, and that in itself would be another $20,000. So you can see it's not cheap. Now, when a teacher accepts an entry-level job, a first-year teacher, fresh out of college, in the state of Kentucky will be paid approximately $36,200 per year. Now, that's before taxes, before anything else, $36,200 per year. If they have student loans, you can just imagine that. If they have a car loan, $300, $400 a month, the student loan will be, I've heard students say, I'm having to pay $400 a month. You have living expenses. So when you figure all those numbers in, it's not all that great. You're not going to become a billionaire being a teacher. However, there's other good things. You see students learn, and that's an added benefit that has no monetary value. Let's go back several years. In the early 1930s, teachers had no pension. When they quit teaching, they just quit. If they hadn't saved a lot of money, they were just destitute. In 1936, the University of Kentucky released a report that stated that Kentucky needed a retirement system for teachers in order to attract better teachers and thus creating a better educational system. At that time, teachers didn't earn much money. They earned between $40 and $60 per month. Yes, per month. I remember when I was a young boy, my grandmother had taught for a couple of years in the early days in the 30s, and she said she had earned $40 per month. And the only thing that stuck with me that I thought, my goodness, that's barely over $1 per day. But that was the norm at that time. Were stories of teachers that were 70, 80 years old that had nothing else, and the local boards knew that they had no retirement, so they would allow these teachers to continue with their job, but a lot of times there wasn't a whole lot of learning going on because they were ill health, but they still had to have some way to live. In 1938, the federal government began the Social Security system. What a lot of people don't realize, though, is that the federal government at that time said teachers, state employees, and municipal employees are not eligible for the Social Security system. So only basically self-employed people or people that worked in factories would have been eligible for that. So as a result of the federal government leaving those employees out, the state of Kentucky created the teacher retirement system of Kentucky in 1938, and our current system that we have was established in 1940. They revised the first one, and what we have now was first started in 1940. In the early 50s, 1950s, the federal government decided that they would allow teachers and municipal employees and state employees to enter into the Social Security system if the state so wished. 15 states decided to stay with what they had. They did not enter Social Security. Kentucky was one of those. And our lawmakers said, well, we've already got a retirement system for teachers and state employees, and it's a whole lot cheaper for us to stay with it. Because they knew that if they went to the Social Security system, they would have to make payments to the federal government. They could not opt out and not pay them. So that's how we remained in Social Security. So a teacher here in Kentucky does not pay into Social Security and does not receive Social Security benefits. Now that's unless that teacher had another job or a part-time job, which many of our teachers do work a second or even a third job and do receive some Social Security for that. They pay into it rather. So when they retire, if they have at least 40 quarters of Social Security, they can draw some Social Security on their public work, but not all. They can only draw approximately 40% of what they would have if they were not a teacher, although they had paid in 100%, but they can only get back 40%. But most teachers have not worked in that sector, or at least for not 40 quarters, so they cannot have any Social Security whatsoever. So that's why you've heard the terms COLA being kicked around. When you're in Social Security, the federal government will give you a cost of living adjustment each year. In the teacher retirement system, we receive that also. So that's what you have heard about the COLA. That is, since we don't receive Social Security, we have the teacher retirement, and that it's our cost of living adjustment. We're one of 15 states that do not pay into Social Security for our teachers. Now, although we don't pay into Social Security, in each paycheck, a teacher has 12.88% taken out of their check that goes into the teacher retirement system. So some people said, all of our tax money are paying you teachers retirement, but that's not true. We've had our money taken out just like others do for Social Security, and it goes into the retirement system. The state of Kentucky is also supposed to pay into the system for us, just like they would as if it were Social Security. But however, since it's Kentucky, sometimes they do not make those payments, and there's no one that can force them to do it since they are the lawmakers. But they are required by law to make those payments. Now, up until approximately the year 2000, our teacher retirement system was funded approximately 96%, and that, from what I understand, people have been saying that is great. No one else in the country has ever had that. But about that time, recessions hit, and our lawmakers needed to have a balanced state budget, which by law we're required to have. So instead of raising taxes, everyone hates to pay taxes, so those lawmakers said, oh, we can just not make payments into the retirement system for not only teachers, but Kentucky State Police, the judiciary, county employees, other state employees. We just won't make those payments, and no one can do anything to us. And so that's how the budget was balanced. We've had several roads and courthouses built with retirement system money. So that's why our systems began getting into trouble, is because that money was not put into the accounts like they were supposed to be. Now, people have said, well, why didn't KEA do anything? Why didn't you teachers rise up? Well, the state said they were borrowing that money, and most people, us take people at their word. If you borrow something, you're going to pay it back. So there wasn't a big concern at that time, but it was never paid back. It just continued on. Even today, in the current budget, this is still happening. The state is going to use over $300 million in the next 2 years of the Kentucky Employee Insurance Fund to help balance the budget. They're taking money away from state employees, their insurance fund, to balance the budget. So it's still continuing, even after they see what happens when you do not fully fund accounts. In the year 2010, when everyone saw that the retirement system was losing money because they hadn't paid in their payments, there was something called House Bill 540, which is called a shared responsibility bill. Now, educators were promised by the state if they would support this bill and take an additional $134 out of their paycheck each time, then the state would provide insurance for retirees that were under 65 that did not qualify for Medicare. This was called prepaying insurance. And I know all teachers were doing this, and even currently still are doing this. They're prepaying their under 65 insurance. Now, in some of the original budgets, the state was going to totally quit doing that. Currently, as the way we understand the current budget, the state will pay for under 65 insurance for 1 year. After that year, they're going to say that the teacher retirement system should pay that. So once again, the state has gone back somewhat on its promise to us. Here in Kentucky, the average age for a teacher that retires is 59 years old, and they'll have 30 years of experience. And the average pension is $36,000. Now, there's several that are much less than that, because when you factor in superintendents and other central office personnel who make more than a classroom teacher, that factors into that also. Some of the retirement systems that we have in Kentucky are the teacher retirement system. We have the KRS, we have the CEERS, which is a county employees. We have the Kentucky State Police. We have the judiciary. We have the legislative, and there may be one or two others that I've left out. Now, some of these are only funded 13%. Now, I will say, Governor Bevin has recognized that there is a problem with all pensions, and he has tried to do something about this in a positive way. Last year, the state, under his direction, began making their payments plus extra into the retirement systems. As a result, the teacher retirement system went from 56% unfunded to 54%. So we have increased on that. We're more funded, or maybe I said that in reverse. We're now 56% funded, whereas in the past we were only 54%. So he has helped us with that. And we appreciate Governor Bevin for recognizing that and trying to help us with that, to fully fund pensions. Now, we do disagree with some of the methods that have been used, especially the way that some bills are passed and how future teachers may be treated with these new pension bills. But we do appreciate the governor seeing that there's a need and trying to help with that need. We disagree with some of the methods. But he did make extra payments last year. So we hope in the future things will work out. We're very concerned about the future of education here in Kentucky, and Joy will now speak on some other issues.
And I want to clarify too that the COLA that you mentioned, teachers pay that COLA. We pay our own raises. So when it comes time to retire, that came out of our check. It's not from the state. I'm going to read from Senator Dorsey Ridley's column some things, and then I'm going to do SB 151, which is the pension bill. Thousands came to the Capitol daily, chanting and marching from early in the morning to late in the evening. The protest culminated on Monday, the 58th day of the 60-day session, when teachers, firefighters, law enforcement officers, public employees, and retirees descended on Frankfort in mass numbers to express their opposition to a pension bill and support the need to fully fund our schools. There were approximately 8,000 to 10,000 people there on that day. A pension bill, a revenue measure, and a budget 2-year spending plan passed in both the Senate and the House on Monday, April the 2nd. All three bills were crafted behind closed doors without input from the Democrat legislators, without testimony from the stakeholders and those that were concerned about this bill. The taxpayers were not heard. All three of these lengthy bills were called for a vote before legislators even had time to read them. The pension bill, which is Senate Bill 151, was hidden in a wastewater bill, and it was passed with no public hearing, no actuarial analysis, and no outside testimony. And sadly, it is a bad bill. It will hurt public education and make recruiting new teachers unnecessarily challenging. SB 151 will not impact the unfunded mandate, nor does it add any new money to KTRS, or the Teachers Retirement Fund. It fails. The Free Conference Committee, which were made up of Republicans from the House and Senate, agreed upon a biennial budget, but also tax reform. Again, there was no input from the Democrats and no testimony from our taxpayers. The two bills were drafted, again, behind closed doors. The Democrats did not even have copies of the bills to review, but rather were given a summary and asked to vote on two monumental measures. Reductions in higher education funding and the lack of money for safety measures in secondary schools were part of the components of these bills. While vastly improved over the governor's proposal, this is still a bad budget that does not fund education as it should be, and it does not meet the overall needs of the state. It will do more harm to public education than anything that has transpired in legislature in decades. The legislators have two final days on April the 13th and 14th, and these days are important because it will give us the opportunity to override any vetoes by the governor. You can still share, and you can call and get your input by calling 1-800-372-7181 and let your wishes be known. Okay, so now I'm going to go through the actual SB 151 bill, and I'm going to just highlight things that affect teachers as well as other state workers. I want to note that the judicial and the legislative are exempt from all these changes that the rest of us get to enjoy. They created a new section to establish an optional 401A money purchase plan for new non-hazardous members who began participating in the Kentucky Employees Retirement System, or KERS, and the County Employees Retirement System, CERS, on or after January the 1st, 2019. That will be a mandatory defined contribution plan that will operate as another benefit tier in KERS and CERS, and it will include a 4% employer contribution. It provides that a member can retire upon reaching the age 65 with 5 years service or upon meeting a combined age and service requirement of 87 years, with the minimum age of 57. They amended KRS 16 relative to the State Police Retirement System, SPRS, KERS, and CERS to exclude uniform and equipment allowances from the definition of credible compensation. It provides that sick leave service credit shall not be used to determine retirement eligibility for KERS, CERS, and SPRS who began participating prior to January the 1st, 2014, and who retire on or after July the 1st, 2023. KERS and SPRS rates shall be adjusted annually rather than on a biennium basis, as it has previously been. Also to amend KRS to provide that in the event of a line-of-duty death of a KERS, CERS, or SPRS hazardous member, the spouse shall supersede the beneficiary designation on file. So even if you've designated your son to be your beneficiary, this negates that, and that means your spouse will automatically become the beneficiary. They also amended KRS 61 to require KRS employees who began participating on or after July the 1st, 2003, but prior to September the 1st, 2008, to contribute towards retiree health funding an amount equal to 1% of credible compensation. To provide that members who begin participating on or after January the 1st, 2014 shall not be eligible for the $5,000 death benefit payable to KERS, CERS, and SPRS retired members with at least 4 years of service. And to provide that KERS, CERS, and SPRS inviolable contract provisions shall not apply to the legislative changes that became effective on or after July the 1st, 2018. To create a new section of KRS 161 to establish a hybrid cash balance plan for new teachers' retirement system, TRS. Members who begin participating on or after January the 1st, 2019. That hybrid cash balance plan shall operate as another benefit tier in TRS. Will have a benefit based on a 9.105% employee contribution for non-university members and a 7.625% employee contribution for university members, and will include an 8% employer credit for non-university members and a 4% employer credit for university members and an interest credit. To provide that a member can retire and take a refund of his or her account or annuitize his or her account balance in the Teacher's Retirement System hybrid cash balance plan into one of the payment options provided by the system upon reaching age 65 with 5 years service or upon meeting a combined age and service requirement of 87 years, which is a minimum age of 57. To also amend to limit the amount of sick leave payments that can be applied to Teachers' Retirement System retirement benefit calculations to the amount of sick days accumulated as of December the 31st, 2018 this year. To require TRS employers to pay the full actuarial required contribution rate. And provide that local school districts shall pay 2% of pay towards the cost of the new TRS members' retirement benefits. And this will create hardships for our school systems. To provide that TRS members who retire on or after January the 1st, 2019 and return to work shall not earn a second retirement account in TRS. To provide that the TRS cost of living adjustment provisions do not apply to new members effective January the 1st, 2019, and to limit the sick leave service credit to the level of sick leave accumulated as of December the 31st, 2018 for TRS members. to provide that the life insurance benefit from TRS shall not be applicable to new members effective January the 1st, 2019. This is a $5,000 life insurance policy that previously retirees would receive from the state. To provide that TRS inviolable contract provisions shall not apply to the legislative changes that become effective on or after July the 1st, 2018, or to new teacher retirement system members. The inviolable contract guarantees that we have job security, that they can't come in there just at any time and just fire you. And the benefits that we are to receive, it guarantees that. So now they are taking the inviolable contract away, not just for teachers, but also for all state workers. To provide that a line of duty death changes to KRS are applicable to surviving spouses of hazardous members who died in the line of duty on or after January the 1st, 2017. I will note that SB 151 and HB 200 left out funding for charter schools, and that was a huge concern, especially for educators. Part of the money that the schools were not receiving were being put into charter schools. And when a child is in a public school and they have an option to go to a charter school, the money goes with them. And if the child goes back to the public school, the money does not go with them. There is a lot of research out there about charter schools. Some good, a lot that I've read are mostly not good. So I am really, really pleased that it was left out of this part of the bills. Another thing, Gerry talked about, we are not allowed to draw Social Security unless we've worked 10 years or 40 quarters, and then only we get 30%. But teachers also cannot draw Social Security off of a spouse that dies. So if you're retired and your spouse is paid into Social Security all those years, we do not get a penny. And I want to reiterate that teachers are not asking for a raise. We just want what we paid in, our pension, our COLA, and our insurance, which was in our contract. Other states, West Virginia and Oklahoma, are asking for raises, and I want some of the things that's been on the news about Kentucky implies that that's what we're wanting. We are not wanting more than our fair share. We are just wanting what we paid. And for instance, if you pay for a car and make payments all these years and you go pick the car up and they say, oh, I'm sorry, I gave it away, I don't have it anymore. That's how we feel. And if you are more interested in learning about some of the reasons the money is not there for Kentucky education, you can get on my Facebook website. I've posted a lot of articles. There are some articles about the Koch brothers and hedge funds and some of the areas that our money was invested in, and that might be interesting to you.
Let's take a quick break here on Tiger Talk. We've thrown out a lot of information, and some of this really is complicated and hard to adjust. Before we break, what would you tell people that are hearing this and may say, well, things have to change? I mean, granted, the teachers that have been teaching all these years, those contracts and the inviolable contracts and things such as that, the promises should be honored. But what about folks that are saying, well, things have to change. Financial situations change with state budgets, with state everything. What would you all tell people as teachers that are thinking, well, they just need to change things up a little bit for these new teachers that are coming in? What is for people that are out there talking like that?
Sometimes change can be very hard. Sometimes things don't need to change a lot. I think basically as educators, the one factor we are most concerned with is not the retired teachers right now, not the future teachers. We're really concerned about the quality of education in the future. If these teachers that are not yet hired, when they hire in and they only have a 401 with no Social Security to fall back on, we feel like they will accept a position in a non-teaching position somewhere else, or even a teaching position in another state. We feel that the quality of education in Kentucky will decline. And it may be 30 years before we see the full effect, but we feel like education will decline if our new teachers are not included in the teacher retirement system as we know it today.
Okay. All right, well, let's take a break on that, and we'll come back and we'll hear from President-elect of the Caldwell County Retired Teachers Association, Ginny Oldham, when we come back from this break here on Tiger Talk. It's 8:35.
String Beans Coffee House in downtown Princeton specializes in made-to-order espresso drinks. Stop by Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to noon and enjoy a pick-me-up. You can also enjoy fresh-baked scones, homemade chocolate chip and oatmeal raisin cookies, and espresso brownies that'll keep you going all day long. They're also open on Saturday from 9 to 2. String Beans Coffee House on Lower Main in Princeton. Great coffee and more in a great atmosphere on Lower Main in downtown Princeton. Hancock's Neighborhood Market on Commerce Street in Cadiz is the place to shop for delicious homemade goodness. Hancock's makes their own fresh chicken salad, pimento cheese, salads, and a variety of mouth-watering desserts sure to please your entire family. While at Hancock's, be sure to visit their meat department for the best selection of USDA choice meats in the area. Hancock's Neighborhood Market in Cadiz, hometown, homemade goodness, and the Hancock name you know and trust for quality for your family. Hancock's Neighborhood Market on Commerce Street in Cadiz.
Since 1978, Perry's Floors and More has been selling, installing, and servicing homeowners throughout Western Kentucky with quality flooring and workmanship. Perry's Floors and More carries luxury vinyl plank and luxury vinyl tile, carpet, window treatments, and more. Quality brands like Mannington, Shaw, Tarkett, Beaulieu, and Flexitech. There's a reason why we say you can walk on our reputation. Come see Bill and Lucy at 127 West Market Street or call 270-365-9869.
And welcome back to Tiger Talk at 8:37. We have the representatives from the Caldwell County Retired Teachers Association, President Gerry Baker, Member Joy King, and we have President-elect Ginny Oldham, who's here, and she's going to be talking about House Bill 366. Is that right? And that is the budget. And Ginny, you can go ahead and talk about that.
House Bill 366, the budget bill for Kentucky for fiscal year 2019 and 2020, was introduced Monday, April the 2nd, late in the session, without benefit of all lawmakers' views or input, nor public scrutiny. The tax measure passed the House with a meager 51 to 44 votes, and the Senate with even less, 20 to 18. Labeled a regressive budget plan that gives corporations tax breaks and places new tax revenue on working people and small businesses. In the House Bill 200, the good news was that education benefits do still include family resource funding. K through 12 SEEK funds were raised to $4,000 per student, and there will be increases in school transportation budgets. Every citizen will be affected by other tax changes, including the flat tax rate of 5% and taxes on services that have never been taxed before. These proposals still require the governor's signature. I encourage folks with concerns to contact the governor and other lawmakers when they return to Frankfort April 13th and 14th. You can find information online at lrc.ky.gov, or as Joyce said, call and leave a message at 1-800-372-7181.
All right.
One thing that Ginny didn't mention was that originally in House Bill 200, the language was in that the teacher retirement system be placed under the control of the Personnel Cabinet, and when the changes were made, that language was taken out. Ty?
Well, I wanted to thank her for that. And again, this is a lot of information for folks to digest, but I don't think, I appreciate the you all coming in here and trying to sort through all this, especially from the retired teacher's perspective of this. I know tomorrow Senator Dorsey Ridley will be here on the phone. We have some questions for him, and then Wednesday, Representative Lynn Beckler will be here. On Thursday. So, we encourage people to tune in here to Tiger Talk. We're going to try to get some of these questions and open up a little bit more debate about all this. Of course, all these bills, I guess the budget bill is still sitting on the governor's desk. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the pension bill. I'm just looking here at this Courier Journal article, just kind of some of the things, the hybrid retirement plan. Of course, all this is for teachers that will be coming in later. But as you all mentioned, this not only affects teachers, especially with the budget, it has impacts at all state workers, but also all of us out here in the general population, because as we know, it takes money and funding to run governments and to take care of our citizens. And when, we've got a balanced budget, but that really doesn't mean anything. It's just something on paper. Where are these funds going to come from? Yes, we've got more taxes in this budget, things such as cigarettes, things such as, I forget the other, you have a list there. Why don't you go through that? Yeah, some of the things that you see taxed.
New tax revenues under the new budget include bowling alleys,
yes,
fitness centers, landscaping, pet grooming, limousine services, some auto repair shops, janitorial services, veterinarian services for small animals, commercial laundries, golf courses and country clubs, dry cleaning, weight loss centers, campgrounds would be taxed. And there's as I mentioned, the flat tax rate of 5% and the cigarette tax. Mm-hmm. I think it goes up to $1 a pack. That's something in prevention we wished for years.
Right. And again, Gary said nobody likes to pay more taxes, but we also realize too that they're, the efforts are there to try to figure out. It's very complicated stuff. There's no doubt about it. We're dealing with lots of money. We're dealing with lots of people. But Gary, as we sort of talk about in summary as to what we're discussing here, as far as everything I've read, that the teachers, everything that the pension bill has is pretty much solidified for the teachers that have worked in the past. Your concerns, and your all's concerns, of course, are the new pension aspects for our new teachers and what it could potentially do to harm education in the state of Kentucky.
That's a good summary, Ty. I'm glad you mentioned the hybrid retirement plan that they have. It's similar to a 401. The language in there says the state guarantees that when these teachers retire, they're guaranteed a set amount. The thing that really concerns me is that language in the state law also states that the legislator or Kentucky will pay into the teacher retirement system, and they haven't been doing that. So what's to say that they will fail to uphold their contract with this 401 hybrid system? It seems like we've talked a lot about the teacher retirement system this morning, and I suppose that's what we are most knowledgeable about. However, we are very concerned about all of our state employees, the state police, our local policemen, sheriff's departments, all of our county employees. Where would we be without these public servants accepting a lower paying job with a promise of retirement benefits when they retire? And that's what we have all done. All state employees have accepted a lower paying job with the guarantee that we'll be taken care of when we retire. That's what we're really concerned with. As Ty said, we're also really concerned with teachers that have not been hired in yet. We want education in Kentucky to continue to improve. We have made great strides since CARA was first formed several years ago. Great strides. We want to see that to continue. Now, the current retired teachers basically did not take a hit with this pension bill. The current teachers are going to take a small hit, but those teachers not yet hired are receiving a huge hit when they are not included in the teacher retirement system. We're very concerned about that. We're asking that the state continue to honor the contracts that they have made with all state employees, including teachers, including law enforcement, including state workers, county workers. We want them to honor that, and we want our future teachers to be included in the teacher retirement system of Kentucky. We feel like Kentucky will become a great commonwealth if we continue to increase our educational system in Kentucky, and we believe that our current legislators are stopping that progress with this current legislation. We do appreciate Governor Bevin trying to address this situation. He has corrected some problems, but there's still one or two problems that need to be corrected.
Okay. Joy, do you have any final thoughts or anything you'd like to
In addition to
about?
that, the inviolable contract, they need to reinstate that.
Okay.
That is so very important. And I would encourage everyone to keep up with these
Try
bills.
to educate yourself
Yes,
on this. Yes.
a lot's going on. Friday, I anticipate there will be lots of teachers, firefighters, police officers, state workers at the Capitol.
Right.
I anticipate that and encourage that. And that Friday night is when, at midnight, is the last chance he has to sign that bill or veto it. And then Saturday, the legislators have a chance to override his veto. So we'll know Saturday how this ends up.
Right. Anything else, Ginny?
I would end with reminding them that they can go to lrc.ky.gov, or they can leave a message at 1-800-372-7181. Get involved, speak your mind, and tell your legislators and the governors that Kentucky teachers and state workers deserve to be treated as they were told they would be treated.
With respect.
Okay. Well, it ought to be interesting. Of course, tune in to Tiger Talk. And again, tomorrow, Senator Dorsey Ridley. I'll have him via telephone, and I'll have Representative Lynn Beckler here on Thursday. So that ought to be some really informative information there. And we do encourage you, find reliable sources for your news. Again, this is beyond, I think, partisan lines. There's maybe not Republican or Democrat issues here. This is something that can affect lots of people in our Commonwealth, not only those that are out working in the workforce now, but the future, our kids. So thank you all so much for your passion, your willingness to come in here and help us understand some of the issues. And again, we just want to remind folks out there listening to get educated. Educate yourself about these things, because you might say, well, I'm not a teacher, or I'm not working the state system. This has potential impacts on all of us. It really does. So thank you all so much for your passion. Thank you for your years of service in education. We certainly appreciate that as well. So anything else as we wrap up?
Thanks for having us, Ty, and we feel like this is as you said, a Kentucky problem, not a party problem.
Right. Thank you all so much. Again, we have President of the Caldwell County Retired Teachers Association, Gerry Baker, and Member Joy King, and President-elect Ginny Oldham. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of Tiger Talk here on your hometown radio station, 103.3 FM and 1580 AM WPKY The Tiger. We will try to get this in a summary sort of format on later newscasts, and of course you can always check out the upload at our website, WPKYonline.com. If you missed this show, we're going to upload it to that as well. So thank you so much. On behalf of the Caldwell County Retired Teachers, Ty Engelbright bidding you good day on this Monday. It's 10 minutes in front of the hour.
Thanks for listening to Tiger Talk, your local source for information about your hometown. Tiger Talk has been brought to you by
Tiger Talk brought to you by String Beans Coffee House on Lower Main in Princeton, Hancock's Neighborhood Market on Commerce Street, and Katie's Delicious Homemade Goodness, and Perry's Floors and More.